Hey, welcome to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host, RJ, and I'm joined by my champion co-hosts and legendary mates, Scott the Goon and Rob the Red Devil. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are also welcomed by a special guest, a proud Toffee man. He runs a fantastic channel. You can find him on Twitter as well as Instagram. His name is Mike. He runs the show, the Blue Boyz Network. How you doing this evening, Mike?
Yeah, guys, thank you ever so much. It's a little bit earlier for me than it is for you guys over there. I appreciate. So thank you for having me on. And for anyone watching, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. To these guys are doing a fantastic job, as I would say, down under.
Excellent. Good man. Scotty, how you feeling, buddy?
Yeah, mate, doing well. This not being in a European Cup competition maybe isn't so bad after all. When I look at what some of your teams have been through, Robbie, of course, scraped it. He's smiling. But, man, it was nice to just lay in bed this morning, to be completely honest.
Didn't even know it was Champions League on, but I'm glad you thought about it. Rob, you must be buzzing. CR7, what happened? Was it Fergie or Ronaldo? Who knows?
I don't know, mate. A bit of both. Oh, I'm double buzzing today, mate. I got the double. I got the Juve up and United up today, so I'm double buzzing today.
For sure. And those who are regulars of the show might notice I've got some extra decorations, and it's just coincidence. It happens to be a Juventus scarf because it's actually the 2014 All-Stars game when Juventus came out and played our best Australian football players here. So just a coincidence, not a fair weather fan here.
Plastic. Absolutely plastic. I just want to acknowledge before we go any further, just some of the guys in the live chat.
Yeah.
If you are joining us for the first time and you've come specifically to see Mike, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have some more Everton fans around the channel as well. We aren't club specific. We love to talk about the whole league. But hello, Daniel. I know you would have had a busy morning this morning. We've got George here. We've got Ian here. Viva Mike. So Daddy's in. We've got Jules. Jules Imbruglia here, my favourite of the Imbruglias. Antonio hyping up the Ronaldo winner, and Gunaretti. You can see what he's come for, Robbie. Are you going to give the man what he wants?
Sue!
You know what we should have done? What we should have done, Mike, is we should have had the video from when Aston Villa beat United and just had that viral video of them celebrating the Ronaldo celebration. But that opportunity is long gone now. We've lost it.
Oh, mate, we forgot about that.
We forgot.
I'm just happy Rob's wearing a shirt in this video, to be honest. I know he put out a little Champions League recap. First thing I thought was, come on, mate, our pod's not earning any money yet, but put a shirt on, champion.
Only football fans, we should just call it, not only fans.
You're lucky I had a singlet on, Boogie.
We'll be launching an OnlyFans channel soon enough. All right, boys, let's get straight into it. I'm going to put up the fixtures that we're looking forward to in this game week. We are going to leave Everton Man United till the end because obviously we'd love to really unpack that with Mike and Robbie here. Mike, you're more than welcome to join us making some predictions. Like I said to you earlier, we've got a bit of a competition. Maybe you can come in and be a bit of a superstar with that and show us how it's done.
Give us your hot tips, Mike.
I'm bottom of the league. You're having a laugh, ain't you, lads?
All right, let's start with the Burnley-Norwich game. RJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Norwich are going to win eventually. It's just when. It's the $1 million question, isn't it, at the moment? But also, I think Burnley have been playing not too bad, to be fair to them. So, you know what, I'm going to stick with them. I'm pretty okay with the way they're going, and I'm going to lock them in for a 2-1.
I'm going Burnley 1-0. I think this will be a garbage game of football, to be blunt. Mike, what about you, my man?
Yeah, I think it's not going to be a very attractive game. You've got two contrasting styles, really. Norwich, who do try to play football. They certainly did against Everton last week. And you've got Burnley, who traditionally sort of hard-working, bulldoze teams, physicality. I just think it'll be too much for Norwich. So I'll go Burnley 2-0 myself.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Mike on this one. 2-0 Burnley for me.
All right. Before we get on to Chelsea, who 2 defeats, Thomas Tuchel out. It's all
crisis.
It's all falling apart. Do the wheels continue to fall off against Chelsea, RJ? And when you give your against Southampton, when you give your prediction as well, maybe just a couple of words on this. We've got Yusuf in the live chat saying, "What's happening? Do you think they'll recover?" Maybe give a really quick word on that.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk about it. No time like the present, as they say. For me, 2 defeats back to back doesn't happen much with us, given how good we've been over a couple of seasons. My way of analysing it all is that we've been, on the whole, very disappointing in both games because the raw stats are the following. We've had 1 shot on target in 2 games. It's just not good enough for the European champions. And I'd actually take that a bit further because we've had a couple of sluggish games against Aston Villa in both Carabao Cup and the Premier League. And to be honest with you, we've probably flattered to deceive, but just shown some good bounce back ability, including against Tottenham. I'm not too concerned just yet. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about what's unfolding. We have had Kante, Mason Mount, Pulisic, and Reece James. That's a lot of key players that have been out. But that said, I do think that we've got a good enough squad to be playing better, not necessarily being the same level, but better. And I think that had it not been Manchester City and Juventus, we might have continued flying under the radar with substandard performances and scraping over the line. But because we versed 2 quality teams, we got it found out a little bit. My biggest worry is the fact that we versed 2 contrasting teams. Manchester City, very aggressive in both their press and counter press. Juventus were quite happy to be strategically pragmatic and hit us in transition. We couldn't find a solution for either one. So again, not panic stations just yet. We will get some of our key stars back. And against Southampton, while they have been okay, they've showed signs that they're not there to just roll over. I think we will bounce back with all due respect. And especially being at Stamford Bridge, I see us taking this one out 2-0.
Yeah, look, I don't like doing it, but I'm going to agree with you 2-0. As you know, people in the live chat, please hit that like button. Make sure if you want to chuck in your prediction as well, happy to put them up. Ben's done that. He's calling 3-1 Chelsea. Yusuf, sorry I missed yours. So the earlier game, you can see Yusuf's there. What about you, Mike? Chelsea bounce back against Southampton?
Yeah, I think as horrible as this sounds, I think it's inevitable because Southampton, give them credit. You know, they played really, really well against Manchester City the other week. Arguably got a goal, but it was disallowed for offside. So Southampton aren't a poor team, but Chelsea, they've got to have the bit between their teeth for this game because, as RJ just rightly said, you know, you've played 2 very difficult teams in a row in Chelsea's. They've played 2 different styles and they've come unstuck against all of them. Southampton, I expect to sit behind the ball and it'll be another style where it'll be very much a sort of 11 players sitting back. So, look, as long as Chelsea can get some of the players that have been out back, some of the pace back in the side as well, because I did think they lacked a little bit of cutting edge last night. I think they should have too much for Southampton. And I actually predicted, on my own predictions, Chelsea would win 4-1.
Well.
Okay. What about you, Robbie?
Look, if Ido didn't have such a big lead in the tipping, I'd maybe go for an upset and go for a 0-0 in this one, considering like exactly what he just said. Southampton have kept a couple of the big boys to drop in points this year. So I do think they do need a hit back by Chelsea. And at the Bridge, I think they want to be up for it. I'm sure they'll want to put a performance on for their home crowd. So I think I'll lock in a 2-1 to Chelsea.
There you go. Before we move on to the next one, just want to point out a couple of comments from the chat declared. In a weird way, it's 2 different types of defeats, and he feels like it's a one. Yeah, I echo your sentiments, mate. I couldn't believe some of Chelsea Twitter going into absolute meltdown and criticising the manager. Yeah, spoiled, absolutely spoiled, rotten. And another one from Declared. Rob, was hoping you were rocking the singlet again. Yeah, well, I'm glad he's got a shirt on, to be honest. But, you know, this is Robbie. We're lucky he's got a shirt on. As someone who's known him for a while, he's not fond of clothes. Let's move on to Leeds and Watford. We might mix it up. Robbie, because you're wearing a shirt, you can go first.
Look, mate, I haven't been given a lot of credit to. Well, I've been bagging Bielsa out quite a lot lately, but I do think they have to win this game now. He hasn't got a win yet this season, and surely at home and against Watford, they've got enough attacking prowess to get this one over the line. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 to Leeds on this one.
Interesting. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I think I echo Rob's sentiment there. Leeds seriously need a win. They've started really poorly. This is a team that finished ninth in the Premier League last season. Marcelo Bielsa did seemingly a very good job, but his recruitment's been poor this summer. Leeds have been short in players. They've had injuries. For me, I think Leeds have to win, so I've gone 2-1. But honestly, it really wouldn't surprise me if Watford won this game. It really wouldn't. But yeah, 2-1 Leeds.
I'm going for 1-1 draw, to be honest. I've been so disappointed with Leeds, and I think Watford might be in with a shout at some points. What about you, RJ?
Yeah, you talk about not wanting to agree with me and not liking it. I feel very much the same with you, buddy, but I can't help but feel the same. I know at home the situation's getting quite desperate for Bielsa and Leeds, and again, like Saints, I feel that they do show some elements where, okay, this team is going to start getting a bit of momentum and building something and taking a bit of a lead, but then they crumble, and I don't know what the fragility is all about, if the opponents work them out or they're just lacking a little bit of that intensity. I'm not sure what it is, but they're just not the unit that they once were last season. But for me, Watford, very up and down, but I reckon they will get something out of this. I'm also going to lock in a 1-1.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to the next. Shano wanted us to skip it. I love Shano's optimism. He's just got that classic Newcastle optimism. I might kick this one off. I actually think Newcastle will beat Wolves. I'm going with. I know that probably sounds a bit insane, but I'm going 2-1 Newcastle. What about you, Mike?
I think this is an interesting game because of the timing. Newcastle need a win. Obviously, they're very similar in the same category as Leeds. But what's interesting about this is obviously all of the additional things that's happening with Newcastle United. You know, not much was made about the media in the UK about the fact that Newcastle United are taking the Premier League to court yesterday, and a court trial is going on. There'll be a bounce with those fans that, you know, will be excited about the proposition of potentially being took over in January. So the away fans always, every Premier League club have good away fans. They'll be loud, they'll be buoyant. But Wolves have just won. Jimenez has just scored, which means I think he'll find his feet again. And that will be too much for a poor Newcastle defence. So I'm going 1-0 Wolves. But honestly, again, this could be a draw. It could be a Newcastle win. It could be anything. It could be Steve Bruce running out like FIFA 22. Who knows?
99 sprint.
Yeah.
Just on a side note, though, because we didn't speak about it on Tuesday, how good was it to see Jimenez score after? And I mean, I was watching the game live when he got injured. It was obviously against us, completely accidental, but man, that was, as far as bad injuries go, that was sickening. I still remember the sound. To see him back, to see him scoring in the Premier League again, like, it puts a smile on your face, no matter who you support. It's good to see.
Yeah, agreed.
Robbie, your tip, my man.
Sitting on the fence for this one, boys. I'm just going to go with a 1-1 draw. I just, I've really enjoyed watching Alan St. Maximus in the last few weeks. He's the one that seems to be their clutch man, and I can see him get on the score sheet. Wolves, again, they scored last week. They got their first win, but I don't know. They still haven't been over the 6 games. They haven't been clinical in front of goal. So I'll go 1 goal apiece on this one.
RJ?
Yeah, I was tossing and turning between a draw or Wolves, but for me, I think at home, and I've actually really enjoyed the way that Wolves have been playing lately, to be frank, and I felt like they've started the season quite well, haven't been getting the results they deserve. Got a very morale-boosting win against Southampton last time out, and like Mike rightfully said, obviously Jimenez back amongst the score sheet, so I reckon they're going to use that to springboard them to back-to-back wins, but it won't be easy. Let's be clear about that, and I think it'll be 2-1 in the end to Wolves.
Interesting. Now, of course, the biggest fixture of this game week, Brighton hosting Arsenal. I don't know if it's because we started so poorly and we've got a couple of wins that maybe I'm a little bit overexcited. But you boys know I'm not usually one who goes into games overconfident or particularly cocky. But this game, I'm actually feeling really good about. I've liked what I've seen from us in the last couple of weeks. I like the way we've shown lots of grit and resilience to edge out results, something that I haven't always seen from Arsenal. Obviously, I was thrilled with the attacking performance we put in against Spurs, absolutely making them look amateur. I feel we're going to go and do a number on Brighton in this game. I'm thinking a 3-1. I'm thinking 3-1 here. I know Granit Xhaka is out, and it's unfortunate that he's out because he played really well against Spurs. And you know what you're going to get with him. You're not going to get anything flash. You just get a stable kind of performance. I think we'll be all right. I'm interested in seeing Lokonga in the middle, replacing Xhaka, because to me he was a great signing. Tomiyasu continues to impress. Could potentially by the end of the year be the signing of the season, depending on how he goes. And I'm thinking 3-1, to be completely honest. Mike, I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you think the Gunners bring all 3 points home?
No, and I'm really sorry.
Come on, Mike. Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, I don't want to cut you down like that. I really don't. Arsenal have this tendency, don't they? They have this tendency to sort of get playing good football, look more balanced, which they certainly do. The additions this summer have at the very least added more balance to the team. If they've made them better, I think from an outside fan, I question it still. I'm on the fence about that. But Arsenal certainly look more balanced. And as you mentioned there, Lokonga coming in for Xhaka, it's not a square going into a round hole. It's a round hole going in a round hole, and they fit, etc. Your issue you've got is when Arsenal go on these runs and they do 3 or 4 wins and they put them together, they build their fans up to get in. Not necessarily back to the glory days, because I think Arsenal fans are very realistic, and that's a credit to them. But they almost build their hopes up, and then they just come in and crash them and put them back down to planet Earth. And it's a real shame. I like Arsenal. I've got all the time in the world for Arsenal. But this is one of them games that you've got Brighton, who have only lost once this season against a certain team. Won't mention any names, but Everton. They've got 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. They're on 13 points this season. They're going up against an Arsenal side that are playing very well now, but wasn't 3 weeks ago, say. I really do think Brighton, at the very least, I think Brighton would expect a draw. But I personally have gone 1-0 Brighton just because of that little team against big team factor. But
you know what,
I could be wrong.
I thought after I'd done it, because I'm always thinking on these streams, I thought, you know what, Mike seems like a really good guy. He'll have a bit of respect for us. I'm going to go to Mike straight after me, build some positive momentum. And you've just come in and cleaned me up, man.
Man.
I thought we'd have a bomb. On a side note, the only away game I've ever been to overseas in the UK is at Everton. So it's the only away ground I've ever been to. So I thought that bond might kick in, but no, mate, you burst my bubble. Let's go to you, RJ.
Just before you go, just 1 second. What was the score in that away day? Just out of curiosity, because you've beaten us quite heavily at Goodison a few times.
And I'm pretty sure from memory it was a long time ago. I think it was 2-1. I remember Adebayor scored. So that's how long ago it was. Yeah, but no, it was a good day. I've never watched Arsenal lose live. So if we ever make a Champions League final, I'm going.
Yeah, totally.
RJ, go for it.
Well, that's why we bring Mike on, because we know he's a smart guy. He analyses the game. He's just not going to tell you what you want to hear, Scott. I'm sorry that, the brutal reality is we can't all just want Gunners to win by big score lines every week. And he talks facts, mate. And the fact is that Brighton overall this season have been the stronger of the 2 teams. On form, yes, Arsenal have been, picking up themselves and are really starting to look like a respectable outfit, which is, credit to them for bouncing back after a very underwhelming start, let's say. And momentum is an important thing. I think Brighton were very lucky the other day to walk away with a point against Crystal Palace. But you know what? As you like to say, Scott, you create your own luck. And I think that shows good fighting spirit, the fact that they fought right to the very end and even went for it, even though it was in stoppage time and it was actually Palace's goal kick, and they still managed to turn it around in an audacious equaliser. So there's some good spirits that Potter's building in that Brighton outfit, and I think that's actually going to carry them to. I don't think they're going to beat you guys, but I think it's going to end in a 1-1 draw.
Interesting, Robbie. Before I chuck some up from the live chat, because I like their views more than yours so far. Go for it, man.
Look, mate. I would love Champions League contenders Brighton to get a win over you guys, because just for the straight fact, my brother, he's in the live chat, and for the past week and a half, he's been calling me consistently every day, and instead of saying hello, he's been going, "Sue, United." Just mate. As soon as Arsenal lose their next game, he's gonna copy me until your next game after that. But I'm not. In all seriousness, I actually do think this will be a really, really good game. Brighton at home and the way they're performing under Potter, I've enjoyed watching them. I think they've been playing attractive football. They haven't been lucky besides the Crystal Palace game. I'm going to go again. I can't split these two, but I'm going to go for a high-scoring draw, 2-2 on this one.
Interesting. Let's quickly have a look at some of the comments from the live chat before jumping to Palace Leicester. George with a great point. We'd be calling this a relegation 6-pointer 3 weeks ago. Isn't it funny what time does? Gunaretti, my man, 2-0 to the Arsenal. 3-0 to the Arsenal from the best embroiler on this stream. Tom, should be a pretty good game to watch. Ben calling 2-0 to the Arsenal. Declared, talking sense for once. 4-0 to the Arsenal.
2 weeks ago, Scott, this would have been the other way around, all of these scores.
Well, it's not.
Isn't that
2 weeks
interesting,
ago, mate.
Isn't it? I wish it was.
Is there a fall away factor for Brighton? Yeah, look, that's exactly where I'm at. I think they fall to the mid-table, and I can see Arsenal getting one over Brighton, 2-1. So some really good predictions there. Some bad ones as well, but some really good ones. Let's move on to Palace, Leicester, boys. Robbie, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, geez, mate. I think I'm Mr. Scoogle this week. But you know what? I'm actually going to go for a home win on this one. Palace,
Wow.
they've been pretty good at the moment, and Leicester haven't been hitting their peak or hitting their straps at all, I think. And what's your young guy's name again on loan there?
Conor Gallagher.
Mate, I've watched him last game, and
What a player.
He is honestly a really, really good player, man. So I'm going to go for a Palace 1-0 win here.
There you go. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I think I'll go 1-1. I think Palace have played fairly well. Obviously, they got that 3-0 against Spurs as well a couple of weeks ago. They obviously had that game with Brighton, which I think they'll be disappointed about, but it is what it is. I think 1-1. I think Leicester are more than capable of winning, but we haven't seen the Leicester from last season yet, so I don't think we're talking about the same Leicester team. I think
Don't forget Leicester have Europa League tomorrow as well.
Yeah, exactly. So when you put all of that in the mix, I think Crystal Palace probably are favourites, but I just think Leicester will just get themselves out of it and get a 1-1.
What about you, RJ?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my natural second sort of affinity for Leicester is taking over my objective thinking here. I have liked what I've seen with Palace. I think they have really turned their season around since the early days of the campaign. But equally, I think Leicester have shown in shades too that they are a very high-quality team, but their defence just keeps making a couple of clangers and then just really throwing away 3 points. But the normal sort of law of averages thinks that this can't keep going on and they're just going to eventually nail it. So I think they will get the result here, and I'm going to go for 2-1 to Leicester.
To me, I'm going 1-0 Leicester. Similar to you, they're too good a team for the results that they're getting, and they've got to turn it around somewhere. I would love to see Patrick Vieira continue his great managerial reign, though. So
Gallagher's carrying him, mate. Gallagher, it's all Connor.
You will see. A good comment from George. Palace still just seem like they're one big loss away from the wheels falling off, and George thinks Leicester will come good. George is a clever guy. He's a little bit like he's a beautiful mind, isn't he? He's always got some good views. Boys, Spurs, the laughing stock of the league at the moment, hosting Villa. I don't see anything other than a comprehensive Villa victory here. They've been in good form. Spurs have been in awful form. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to the Villains here. What about you, RJ?
I think that sounds like a very nice way of describing what we all want, but I've just got this feeling it's going to be a little bit less binary than that. I don't know, like their defence has been awful lately, Tottenham. They've been a total shambles compared to the start of the season where they were on fire. But I don't know, I think Dean Smith's doing a great job, as we said on our stream the other night with Villa, but I don't think it's as straightforward as that. If anything, they're going to make it really difficult, Tottenham. I think they're going to be really mindful of the fact that they're slipping away thick and fast. At home, I still think Villa will get the job done, but I'm going to go 2-1 to Villa.
Robbie?
Yeah, look, man, you know, man, I always like to account for the Europa League. You know, as we've been in the last couple of years, I hate the whole Friday, Sunday, or whatever it is, couple of days in between, not a lot of rest time. And like I said, Villa have been really good this year, so I will go for a 2-1 as well to the Villains.
And you, Mike?
I'll go 2-2. I don't think Nuno can afford to lose this game, but I equally think Villa are too good to not get any points out of it. So I think 2-2, and I think Nuno sets up to get a draw and stop losing, to be honest. And it's mad saying that with Spurs at home, isn't it? That's how big the fall is. But yeah, 2-2, I think.
Interesting. Ben's calling the 1-1 draw. Anthony called Villa 3-1. Let's move on, boys, because I am conscious of the time. West Ham, Brentford. Mike, maybe you kick us off with this one. Both teams have been good.
Yeah, both teams good. Brentford are certainly better at home than they are away. West Ham are a very, very good footballing side now. You can't argue about them. They've got good players in every position and a good manager who learned everything he knows at Everton. So I'll go 3-1 West Ham for this one.
Cheeky. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to go 0-0 on this one. I know Brentford aren't, like you said, great away, but they still, they've been defensively pretty good this year. And unless, Antonio's going to come back in, but I don't know. I can just see Brentford maybe playing for a draw in this one. Maybe I can't see them getting a win, but I'm going to go 0-0 draw.
Interesting. What about you, RJ?
No, not for me. I think there's some goals happening here. But Brentford continue to surprise us, don't they? They're like that annoying little bee that just keeps stinging and annoying teams at the moment. And full credit to them that Thomas Frank's got them believing. And that's so important. Even them making, I saw against Liverpool the other day, that desperate goal line clearance, that it's only just a microcosm, but that just shows you the fight. This team is not going to go away easily, and I think that's going to take them a long way this season in their ambitions to stay up in the Premier League and might even push for mid-table honours. But I think West Ham are a better outfit as a whole, have a lot more experience, and have got some really good, dangerous players in form. And I think with that, they're going to be too much at home, and I reckon they'll take this one 3-1 in the end.
I'm going 2-1 to West Ham. Let's look at what the chat's saying. George calling a goal fest, 4-2 for West Ham. Ben's calling 3-1 for West Ham. Antonio double, Ben Rama assist. Ben is coming second in our Fantasy Premier League comp, so might be a good shout. And George, a little bit of cheeky banner. I just
said you, Georgie.
George, and then you throw these comments out. Okay. Mike, I'm sure you'd be excited to give us your thoughts on this one.
Did you forget the Liverpool City before we go into our game?
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to.
Okay, cool.
No one cares about those minnows anyway. Who cares?
Liverpool Man City is it's a hell of a game of football on paper. I think when you really look at the way Liverpool have started really well. They play attractive, aggressive football. They don't make many mistakes. Manchester City haven't started as well, but the result against Chelsea last week makes you think, yeah, they're still more than a comfortable team. I think Man City are a striker short of the title, whereas I think Chelsea aren't. So that's obviously a difference with Liverpool because they have a few players who can score goals in Jota and Salah and Mane. So I just think this game, typical of some of the big teams when they play each other, they sort of counteract each other. It ends up being quite a boring game, and it's a shame because these games are always the one that the TV pick. But for me, I think it's 1-1. I think the Man City defence is strong enough to keep Liverpool to a fairly nominal score, and I think Liverpool have got a mistake in them. I don't think Van Dijk is as good, unfortunately, since the injury with Pickford. And look, whether that's a mistake or not, it is what it is. But yeah, I just think 1-1. I think it's got it all over it, to be honest.
What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think both of them won't want to lose, and I can see them being both happy with a point, just so they both don't break away from each other. So yeah, I'll go with a 1-1 as well. And is it at Anfield? Is it?
Yeah,
it's at Anfield.
Yeah. I think I'll stay with a 1-1 on this one.
RJ.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Mike, where they set up this big blockbuster narrative and it just sort of fizzles out and that's a little bit disappointing. In our heads, it had a lot better storyline, but I don't know, for some reason, I've got a good feeling about the Reds here. I know City played a really strong game against us the other day, but I think I'm just a bit more self-critical about how we've been sort of a little bit complacent lately and not playing our best style and haven't given the best account of ourselves. So I think we've made them look a little bit better than they were, even though they were great. I think we didn't give them enough of a fight, whereas I think Liverpool will give them that fight. And I'm quite keen to see how they resist the powerhouse rock and roll style of football that they do play, and being buoyed by an Anfield packed house. I think that's going to actually carry them over the line here, and I think they're going to take this one 2-1, although I'd like a 3-3 draw in 7 red cards. But, hey, we can't get everything we want.
No, so City have 2 losses on the bounce after your prediction, Arj.
Well, they're not in the Premier League, though, are they? So
no, but just two on the bounce still.
Well, all the great teams lose 2 in a row, Rob, as you know.
Mate, we lost 3 in a row, and look at how good we are at the moment. So, to me, I as the season's playing out, my thoughts on Liverpool are starting to shift. Mike won't like what I've got to say, but I tipped them for comfortable top 4, but didn't think they'd be, in that close title fight. But Mo Salah to me is he's right up there in that top tier of players to have played in the Premier League era. To me, I put him up there with the Thierry Henrys of the world, the players of that caliber. So I think he might give them the edge, and he's looking good this season. I'm also going to go Liverpool 2-1. And I know that's a big shout comparing Salah to Henry. I don't think he's as good as Henry. Let's put that on the table. But I think he's certainly in that bracket with your Ronaldos and Henrys. He's a brilliant player. So I'm going 2-1. Let's have a look at a couple of live chat comments. 2-1 to City. Ben saying the Trent's injury will hurt them. Legs are Rooney calling 2-1 to the Poo. I'm not sure who the Poo. I'm guessing
Liverpool, I think.
Liverpool. And George, City need to be clinical with the minimal chances they get. 2-1 Liverpool for George. So George agrees with us. Interesting. I know Legs Rooney earlier asked if we do a bit of a Champions League wrap up. We'll see how we go at the end for time and how the boys are all feeling when we're done, because we are going to move on to the focus match for us this week. RJ and I are going to sit back and maybe get a little bit more comfortable and let the boys give their views, because their teams are playing. Manchester United versus Everton. As the guest, Mike, we might get you to give your thoughts on this match. Don't feel you've got to rush it. Go into as much detail as you want. Are you confident that you'll take something from Ollie's team?
No, I'm not. It's mad, really, because I'm gonna talk about the negatives and the positives of Man United for a second. So, Rob, you might want to close your ears for the first bit, but open them for the next bit. But the negatives of Manchester United right now is no team in the Premier League goes to Old Trafford now and are scared. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, you were beaten before you even got on the coach. You know, you knew you were going to Old Trafford and you knew you were going to lose. It might have been different for Arsenal and Chelsea, etc. But for teams like Everton, we never went to Old Trafford expecting to get a point, never alone a win or anything. Manchester United have obviously worked on that. They've brought in Ronaldo. They've brought in a winner. You know, they've already got Pogba, who seems to be playing much better this season than last season. They've got Bruno Fernandes, who, although he isn't necessarily as productive as last season for obvious reasons, he still is a very good footballer who still creates chances. He created the chance the other night with a good ball. So it's difficult. You've got Jesse Lingard, who's playing really well. So all of a sudden, Manchester United have gone from a team at the very start of this season that I was not worried about whatsoever, really. I'm not going to say we beat them at Old Trafford, but I'd say we could go there and get a 1-1, to a team that I go and look at them and go, that's a good Man United side now. Now, the only thing that lets Manchester United down now, and this is going to be debatable, is the manager. The manager is not a winner. He is never going to get Manchester United back to where Man United fans want to be. I've heard time and time again that Manchester United are a team of winners. They're not. They haven't won a Premier League title in 8 years. They're not a team of winners. They're a team of very, very good footballers who need a winner to lead them. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't that. However, they're going up against an Everton side who have got their own problems. They've got injuries galore. We don't know about Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin. We don't know about the back four in terms of Mina, Keane, because Everton tend to pick up injuries left, right and centre. Our squad depth is horrendous. We lose Damari Gray. We bring in Alex Iwobi, who, Scott, you know, is not a footballer. Is not a footballer. £35 million, pants down the works, horrendous. We've got Andros Townsend, who's played really well, but let's be realistic. This is a player that couldn't get in a Crystal Palace side last season, so he started really well. But how long can that last? And he's going up against a Manchester United side that have just lost. Again, no disrespect, have just lost at home to Villa, lost at home to West Ham, just about got a win against Villarreal. And you can even argue that potentially that goal is offside because Jesse Lingard is in an offside position when the ball is kicked. It's a tough game. Manchester United win this game for me 3-1. And I'm going against my own side there. But it's certainly not the Manchester United of old. And I like Man United. I always have. There's always been a relationship between Man United and Everton. And that will continue, I have no doubt. But Man United are too strong. But you're just not scared going to Old Trafford anymore. You're really not. What do you think, Rob?
No, I think a lot of points you made there are on point. Look, we haven't, obviously we haven't got a title since Fergie left, and we're doing everything we can to get back to that pinnacle again. We're spending the money where we've tried different managers, but like I said, yes, a lot of people with the Ole thing saying he's not a winner and he might not get us to that. But look, I like to look at the positives for him and what he has done compared to the other ones. He's cleaned out a lot of deadwood. He's bringing back the ethos of the club. He loves the club. He wants to play the United way. He's brought the age level down. He's bringing in world-class players that people said that he can't attract. And like I said, you can see progression. Like when Mourinho was there, we'll sit in fifth. Maybe we'll get a Champions League spot. Obviously, we got that one season, became second, 20 points behind City, whatever it was. But he is slowly getting there. We went from third to second, as I said. We've been backed again this window. We haven't won a trophy, but look, I personally as well, I don't think we're going to win a title under him, but I still think he's pointing us in the right direction. And, as a club legend, I want Ole to do great. I'd love to see him lift the title for United. But, yeah, look, if we're looking just at the Everton game on the weekend, again, I like people know here as well, I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Everton as well. I don't know if it's because in common we both hate Liverpool or, just, we've had a good relationship over the years. But I do think we do have too much quality, like you have already said. Everton are missing their focal point in Dominic Calvert-Lewin up top. As we were talking previously, before the show started, look at Dean this year. He hasn't been whipping in great deliveries. Again, problems at the back for you guys. Mina, I have to say, I do think Yerry Mina has been pretty decent for you guys this year. If he stays there, were you saying Great is out? Because I think he's one of your.
No,
he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing. I'm just saying, if he gets injured, Everton go from a team that you'd possibly say battle the top 8.
Yeah,
mate, top 8, top 10, to a team that, quite honestly, are like 16th in the league because of the squad depth. Everton haven't got a backup team at all.
Yeah, but like we've all seen this year with United, we haven't been playing consistently great football. We've been in games in certain parts and popped up and blew teams away like your Leeds and your Newcastle. And even this morning, like I said, for at least half that game we weren't in it, and then we ended up getting a win, and that was a very important win for us. But look, I just think we've got Ronaldo. I can see Ronaldo getting on the score sheet. Wan-Bissaka will be back for us. So, this morning Diego Dallo played, and he wasn't the great step-in right back. So, yeah, defensively, I think we're really good. Obviously, Maguire's out. But I just think overall we've got too much quality, and I think we should do, you guys. I think even up top, you guys have maybe got Rondon playing striker, and he doesn't look match fit at all. So, yeah, I'm going to go for...
I'd rather not even talk about the fact that we've got London up front. To be honest.
Well, that's what I mean. With your injuries, that's your depth coming on, and I can't believe Rondon hasn't played in feels like a year or something, so he doesn't look match fit. And look, I think from losing 2 consecutive games between the cup and last week at Villa, obviously we got the win today. I think we really do need to go into the international break with the 3 points, and I do think it'll be a 3-1, but. Look, we never know what's going to happen. Last year, these boys will know they were messageably comfortable. I think we're 2-0 up at halftime, and the score ended 3-3, and no one's seen that coming. So, yeah, I do think we'll get the points, but you never know in football.
Rob, you brought up a few good points there, and Mike as well. There were 2 things you said that I kind of just wanted to mention, Robbie. You said that you like Ollie because you think he wants to play the United way, right? I want a contract at Arsenal. I want a Ferrari, but I'm not going to get him. Just because you want something, it doesn't mean you're the right man for the job. And for me, I was massively relieved when you won this morning. As much as I could banter you winning means Ollie's still safe. And as long as he's there, I'm not worried about you winning any cups. Cristiano Ronaldo did what Cristiano Ronaldo does. Saved you at the last minute, but that's why you paid for him.
He wouldn't have got sacked if he lost this. I'm telling you that.
I know, but he would have been closer.
He would have been under pressure. 100%, he would have been under pressure. But we're not Chelsea. We're not gonna drop the axe on him after a few. Like I said, they've backed him. He said it in his press conference the other day. I've been backed. So and look, and every season, I think it was Everton last year actually when he was under a lot of pressure. We come off the back of a Champions League loss against I think the Turkish team, and then I think it was at Goodison that everyone, it was Istanbul Besiktas or something like that. We played Everton that I think at Goodison that weekend, and everyone said if we would not get a result, I think it was going into an international break as well. If I believe right, I think Everton scored early on, and we might have won 3-1. That one could have been Cavani's first game.
He did.
So every time that Ollie's been backed up against the wall, he's got out of jail and then he's gone on a good run, and we ended up second in the competition. So look, I don't think it's doom days, nowhere near doom days yet, and I think we'll bounce back. Hopefully, after a big positive result today, I think we'll get the job done.
Well, I forgot to give my prediction. I'm going 2-1 United. I think Ronaldo will score. It's inevitable. And from there, I think you'll just have a bit too much quality for a depleted Everton at the moment. Couple of comments from the live chat before we go to you, RJ. Tom, who runs the United Pubcast, if you haven't listened to them, jump over and listen to them. Said, news to me, I didn't even know Rondon was at Everton. Gooneretti. Sorry, Mike?
He shouldn't be. He should be nowhere near our football team, but there you go.
I like this one, Mike. 1-1, Ronaldo to score, because he always does, and Iwobi to get an equaliser. Iwobi's revenge for selling us Francis Jeffers. Good shout by Gooneretti. You did jip us there.
one cost 10 million, the other one cost 35. I mean, let's talk about revenge in perspective. My God, you tortured us. You tortured us.
I'll never forget the day that signing was announced because we're not renowned for doing excellent work at selling players. But when I saw that price tag, I was rubbing my hands together. A couple more from the live chat. George saying Benitez will set up well. Could be a tough day if United keep relying on individuals. 2-1 United. Interesting shout. Ben's calling 3-1 United. Some good shouts in there. What about you, RJ? What are you calling?
I had a bit of a smirk because you're laughing about Arsenal's good business, but obviously from my care, you've done some very good business with our club over the years, particularly with a couple of Brazilians that have gone great guns since joining Arsenal.
No,
hope that went well.
William.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, good bloke. But no, in all seriousness, look, I've been really captivated by listening to both sides of the fence here, and Scott adding in as a neutral voice to it all has made it all the more interesting. I think the thing with Ollie in the situation at United is the fact that it's so incredibly volatile. Because 1 week it's back to long-term plan, he's the legend, where the trajectory is positive and just stay the course, and then young boys happens. This result against Villa is a bit of a shock, and then they could have been 3-0 down at half time against Villarreal this morning. No questions asked. Their hair on fire. The narrative starts changing from, we gave him the long term, but he just couldn't handle the very expensive car we gave him. So, you know what I mean? His situation is very fragile, I'd say, at the moment, but he's a fighter. He digs in his heels, and he seems to be working just. And if that works for United, good luck to them, but I don't think it's sustainable. And I know on one hand, I give your club a lot of respect for being patient and trusting him. But equally, I also question their business sense, because I look at our club who not as less patient, if you want to call it that, and sometimes that works out as well. But it's each to their own. For this particular game, though, I think Everton, obviously, I was looking through that injury list, and can make a pretty good five-a-side squad out of that team based on the good quality players that they've got out. And it's just a real shame, because had they been available, this would have been an absolute cracker. And I think because of that, and I know Antonio brought up in the chat that you guys have got a couple of defenders out, but I still think that there's enough strength in depth, and that's the key word, depth. Everton doesn't have it. United does have it. That's going to be a difference here. And because of that, I don't think it's going to be convincing by any means, because I think Benitez is good for these type of contests. He knows the importance of coming up against a fierce rival in United, and he'll have that up his sleeve for sure. So he's going to make it really hard for you guys. We're going to make it very tight and compact, but I think it'll be enough to break them down, and probably Ronaldo in the 118th minute or something to score it, and I think they'll win 2-1.
Mate, the wife just predicted a 2-1 victory there, so Lady Luck is on our side, hopefully.
She's pretty smart, that one.
She's even got the Fernandez goal in there too. God bless her.
Yeah, well,
not from the penalty spot.
The penalty from last week might land on the pitch because it's still in the air, and it might bounce in when no one's looking. That's the closest Portuguese Jonjo will get to a goal.
I heard that flights were suspended from Sydney because the ball had gone over from Manchester.
It's a flight hazard, Mike.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Mike, you're welcome back anytime, my man. But look, while we've got you here, Mike, I thought we might just do a little bit more of a quick chat on Everton. I know your time's precious, and you promised us about an hour, but we've still got some time. I wanted to ask, going back, rewinding to the start of the season, obviously the announcement of Rafa coming over, ex-Liverpool managerial, you probably wouldn't use the term legend, but ex-Liverpool manager coming over to Goodison Park. How did you feel about it then? And have your feelings changed based on what you've seen? Are you happy with it, disappointed with it? Where are you at with that appointment?
If you don't mind, Scott, I'm actually going to go just slightly further back to the actual Ancelotti leaving. All of a sudden, a weekend comes and Real Madrid have sacked their manager, and they're after a manager, and they're being linked with, Allegri and other people. Wenger was even mentioned as well at one point, which was a bit weird. But all of a sudden on the Monday morning, it breaks that Carlo Ancelotti has had talks with Real Madrid over the weekend. On the Tuesday, I think it was announced. So all of a sudden, Everton, and let's be fair, Carlo Ancelotti at times at Everton was fantastic, but for a lot of the season, he did quite poorly, because if you think about where that Everton team was at Christmas, that Everton team was second. It beat, I think it got a draw against United. It beat Arsenal at Goodison, and it beat Chelsea at Goodison, if I remember correctly. And we were second in the league. We'd just beaten Leicester away as well. So we'd beaten essentially the top 5 teams, bar Man City. You know, that they were fantastic last season, and it looked great. We come into this season, we lose our manager, we lose the one that we backed and supported. We then go and get James Rodriguez, who, you know, we then lose James Rodriguez, at the start of the window, because look, every Everton player and every Everton fan knew that he wasn't going to play. I think there was an optimism that he would play at Goodison, but I knew that he weren't going to play for Everton. So he goes now. And in that transition period, we only spend £1.7 million, and we bring in as you said, Scott, I think Liverpool fans would call Rafa a legend. You know, he did get them their 5th European title. I think he is seen as a legend. You know, there's pictures of him in the Kop. From my perspective, I just thought it was a complete circus at Goodison Park. I thought we were the laughing boys of the Premier League for about 4 weeks. But when you strip away the emotion, Rafa's a great fit for Everton. He didn't have loads of money to spend at Newcastle, and he hasn't had loads of money to spend at Everton this season. He will next season. You know, we'll have lots of money because of financial fair play next season. This season, we were tight. So I trusted that element. From a name perspective, he was probably the biggest we could attract at the time. Everton weren't going to be able to go and get Conte or Allegri, so you'd probably say Rafa Benitez is probably the 3rd highest. There was rumours about Nuno. Obviously, he was essentially rejected by Everton and ended up going to Spurs. So speaks volumes about Spurs again. No disrespect to any Spurs fans in the chat. So I was fine with Rafa Benitez, because I thought at the time, if you take the Liverpool thing out, he was the best manager we could get. Then I look at it on the flip side and look what he's done with a team of players that quite honestly is a mess, because there's no squad depth anymore. We've got rid of a lot of our you know, sort of second and third choices because they weren't good enough. He's building a project at Everton, and it's quite an exciting time. We haven't got any squad depth now, and you can abundantly see as soon as Everton lose 2 players, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, they're half the team that they were. But that doesn't stop us being positive, and I think from my perspective, this is our 7th game. If you'd have offered me at the start of when Carlo Ancelotti left 13 points from 7 games and Everton to be sitting in and around the top 6, I would have took that. And I think I'd be very surprised if many Everton fans wouldn't have. Rafa's done a good job. He come in under complete scrutiny by a lot of die-hard Everton fans. And I get it, I'm a die-hard Everton fan, but I don't necessarily have that hatred emotion that a lot of people do towards Liverpool. And that's fine, that's fair enough. But for Rafa to still want the Everton job after all of the banners and the posters and all the things you guys would have saw that I won't repeat on the channel, but all of the things that were said about him, he deserved the job at Everton, and quite rightly, in the end, it looks like we've got it right. And there's a lot of Everton fans that still won't sing for him, still won't back him. But for me personally, yeah, he's done really well with a very poor team of players, and I hope it continues for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, very well said. I just wanted a quick question for you to build on top of that, Mike, because I think you painted the picture very well. It's very easy to be consumed by the emotional drama and roller coaster of the connection between ex-legend manager of your rival club coming in and taking over. And I remember when he came over and took over at Chelsea, and it's not our direct rival, but it really divided the fan base at times because of the rivalry we were building with Liverpool back in the mid-2000s. And look, for me, like you said, in a footballing sense, just pure strip out the emotion, it was a good acquisition. He's experienced. He's obviously demonstrated he knows how to win. And the fact is, he has operated under similar practical constraints, you can call it. So, yeah, it's a very intelligent signing, and the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? Because he's doing a pretty good job with a, not so sensational roster, particularly when the best players continue to come in and out and drop like flies. So, my question, very quickly, Mike, is what does success look like for you this season and next season? Because you talked about a project, but what would make you content, if you will?
Yeah, I think again, you just sort of have to caveat the answer. So 6 years ago, Farhad Moshiri left Arsenal as a board member with, I think, 20% owning of the club and sold his shares to Usmanov. He came into Everton, he bought 50% of the club and promised Everton would never be the same. We've gone worse. We left a team that had Ross Barkley, Romelu Lukaku, John Stones, Morales, Deulofeu, and we've ended up with a team that is nowhere near that team. What I think Rafa does is he gives the Everton players who are there now a platform. I predicted Everton would finish 12th at the start of the season. That was wrong. I think Everton will finish 8th this season. I think Everton will be a lot more difficult to beat than I expected. And we're playing more attractive football than I expected. So I think, look, if you offered me anywhere between 8th and 10th right now, based on the fact we only spent 1.7 million and teams like Tottenham, West Ham, Aston Villa all spent big money compared to Everton, then yeah, fine. Even Arsenal, no disrespect, Scott, you probably throw you guys in there as well. Next season, it's different. Everton can invest. And this is where Rafa Benitez has to test his muscle, because whereas we're more similar to clubs like, I think he managed Chelsea when they were 6th in the league, if I remember correctly, or 10th or wherever they was. Next season, Everton will want to be more aggressive, want to be financially better, and want to sign better players. That's where he's going to make his bread. So next year, Everton have to finish in the Europa League for me. They have to.
Well said, mate.
Fair shout. Mike, we've honestly really appreciated having you on. It's an absolute pleasure. We'll probably do a really quick roundup of the Champions League action. Up to you if you wanted to stick around for 5-10 or if you had to jet off.
I'll probably go, not because I wouldn't be involved, but actually I didn't watch any of the games, so I'm a complete waste of time this week. But
you didn't miss anything, Mike, I can assure you.
Look, I know the scores, but that is about it, guys. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish the three of you the very best of luck. And hopefully, obviously, you guys can come on my channel at some point, and we can have some good debates over there as well, guys. Really appreciate it.
Would love to, Mike. Just quickly, for the benefit of people that might watch this on repeat or people in the live chat now, just quickly tell them where they can find you and your channel. We put the info in the description, but give us the word.
Yeah, so you can find me on. You can find the Blue Boyz Network. You can just Google it. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and also this weekend I'll be on the Don Robbie channel, which as you know is created by Robbie Lyle, who's the creator of Arsenal Fan TV. So I will be on there for the watch along on Saturday at 12:30 UK time. I don't know what time that will be in Australia, guys. I apologise that I don't know, but whatever time that is, guys, I will be on the Don Robbie channel, which is a big thing for me personally. So over the moon to be asked to go and represent Everton on there. But yeah, Blue Boyz Network, guys, you just come over, subscribe. Everton content every week. We have a good laugh and just watch your ears a little bit. There's a little more swearing on my channel than these guys.
That's all right. You told us, Mike, like you said, it's, sometimes we watch our teams and it's quite hard to suppress those emotions, but big ups to you and the great work you're doing over there at the Blue Boyz Network. Again, being very, very proud that you've taken the time to come and talk football with us because, we watch it all hours of the morning, so we don't go to sleep, us here in down under Australia. So feel free to share the link when you do get it with Robbie, of course. And yeah, all the best, mate. And can't wait to link up again with you shortly.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you
Thanks
for having me on.
again. I wish you good luck for the season, but not this weekend, unfortunately. But I hope Everton really go well for the rest of the season.
Likewise, Robbie. Likewise, mate.
Nice to
Let's
meet
go,
you.
Toffees. See you, Mike.
Take care, Mike.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Well done. That was great, wasn't it? It's nice to, I think, just for the premise of our guests, because sometimes Robbie, Scott, and I, we talk about the vision of the show. And part of that is, of course, we're going to have a lot more intimate knowledge and talk a lot more fondly about our three clubs because they're more close to our heart. But at the heart of it, we are a Premier League and arguably even broader based show. So it's important for us that we do link up and get great guests like Mike, like, you know, other fans that we do bring on representing different clubs, lead judges, etc. from us, or everybody. So if you know anybody that represents a club that we haven't represented before, feel free to reach out and tell us to us because we'd be keen to have them on. But another part of the conversation you boys wanted to touch on, me, not so much, Champions League recap. Robbie, you're buzzing still. Why don't you tell us a little bit what happened?
Well, when you want to start with my game, because look, I obviously tried to go quickly. Everyone will discuss on it, but look, if I'm going to say it, as I've said before, first half was dominated by Villarreal. They came out, and I have to give them credit. They attacked us. A lot of us thought they'd sit back because you know, they're really hard to break down. They haven't lost a game this whole season. They've gone 9 undefeated, all draws, nearly no wins. Even on the weekend at Real Madrid, they got a nice draw there. But even from the Europa League final, as far back as that, you know, in normal time, and you know, even with the Super Cup against Chelsea, they both, you know, we both had a draw, and obviously they've got the side in penalties. But yeah, look, good on them. They really came out and they had more than a go in the first half. And lucky for us, you know, we had world class in form from De Gea. He really saved us because we could have gone, you know, we could have been 2-3, possibly 4 behind in that first half. They were just really, really all over us. And, you know, to go into the halftime and 0-0 was a shock or just luck, whatever you want to call it. It was early days in the second half. They finally got their goal that they deserved. And once again, as we've seen many times this year, we had to go down and concede a goal for us to wake up. And then after that, we did get a great reaction. I think, again, it wasn't very long that we were behind, maybe within 10 minutes. A great set piece, Bruno, to Tellers. And, mate, for a left back with a great strike like that, man, the technique to hit a ball like that outside the box on a volley, it's a great goal. And that's his first goal for United, so I'm sure it'll be a memorable one to pull us. You know, and he really got the crowd involved there because the crowd was massive for us today at Old Trafford. Real 12th man. You know, really boosted the team, I think, and we really needed that because at 1-0 down, there was, you know, a lot of people would have been, you know, I was groaning, I wasn't happy. I'm like, oh, here we go again. But after that goal, you know, Cavani came on. I thought he was great when he came on, really bring a lot of energy. Matic, again, he only got a 20-minute cameo, but, you know, he really just dropped into that back four, took the ball out and started playing forward passes. And look, mate, for United fan, as always, Ronaldo steps up 95th minute. You know, he himself will tell you, he had an interview after the game and said, I had a crap game today. But for him, that's what he does, mate. He's a clutch player. 95th minute, he saved us. He gets the big point. And that was a massive result for us, mate. For Ollie, for the club, for the boys, for a bit of confidence. You know, even in our Champions League campaign, we really needed to get off the mark. And, you know, we did. And, mate, big result for us in the end. It wasn't pretty, but the result is what counts at the end of the day.
You're well wrapped up.
Speaking of results that weren't pretty, mate, I've seen in the last 24 hours Chelsea fan, a couple saying, you know, and obviously it's a clout chasing minority who want some likes on Twitter and some more followers saying Thomas Tuchel out. Absolutely, to me, just stupidity for anyone to say that. So we won't engage too much on that. But a lot of fans really starting to panic. And I know we do a show with Miz on Monday nights down under Football Crew. And I'd sent him a message today because he put up a post saying, mate, it's still early days. Like, calm your farm. And his response was along the lines of the performances themselves. The last 2 performances have been really worrying for Chelsea. So I guess where do you sit? For me, I look at Chelsea from the outside in, and I didn't watch any Champions League this morning. For obvious reasons, I'm not paying for Stan Sport when Arsenal are nowhere near the competition. But where do you sit on it? I mean, it's a disappointing result because Juventus aren't the world's greatest team at this point. How do you feel about it? Result, performance, Thomas Tuchel, where are you at?
Yeah, no, I don't know why people are talking about Tuchel out after this game. I was Tuchel out after the City game. No, I'm just kidding. But no, for us, I think, like I said before, it's just really, it's an emotional sport. We say things in the heat of the moment. The fact is we are driven by expectation and standards. And when we fail to meet those standards, all logic flies out the window because we expect better. That's just, call it spoiled, call it demanding, call it whatever you want. But that's the culture we've set up, and I don't shy away from that. And for us, I'm a lot more reserved and patient. Look, you boys know me quite well. When we lose, mate, I go into a deep place, and I just, even my wife, Maria, like she was saying, it's like something catastrophic happened. I'm like, she knows when it doesn't go our way. Just leave me alone because it's just not good for anybody. I don't want to engage in conversation. I don't want to think. Just leave me alone, right? And I'm still like that now. But anyway, back to this situation. For us, like I said, I wrote in my 5 key takeaways article, there have been signs of this coming because, again, the key theme, if I could derive one over the last month, is the slow starts to games. Sort of similar to United in some respects. But for us, we came up against another enemy of ours today, the perennial low block. It really hurt us a lot. Juventus, it's much like watching my Azzurri play, where I had similar experienced members. Bonucci was on fire. De Ligt, obviously not from the Azzurri squad, but played really well. Locatelli getting really hands-on and disrupting that midfield. The biggest problem we had today was twofold, was the fact that we had some attacking 10s, if you will, because of 3-4-2-1. Both Havertz and Ziyech just failed to really penetrate in between the two lines, between defence and midfield that were heavily stacked by Juve, and they were just absorbing it very comfortably. We failed, as I said, the 3 key Cs. We lacked creativity, confidence, and concentration. That they burnt us today, and we got caught out in a very simple goal 10 seconds after half-time. That's just not good enough. A long ball, one header, and a simple pass into Chiesa, who's been on fire, like in terms of the Euro campaign, and is, he's a player to watch. And I know many top European clubs are courting his signature. So I dare say, if this was an audition, it's not a bad way to impress your future employers. But for me, we really are a team that does miss the energy and dynamism of people like Kante and Mason Mount, and also the directness of Pulisic, he's one of our natural wingers. See, when you play a wing-back system, a lot of it depends on your wing-backs. You need to have them pushing high up just so you can disrupt the defenders and push them as wide as you can. But because they weren't, the defence was really keeping us in front. So very comfortable for Juventus. We did have a few moments, had a couple of good headers. Havertz should have put one away. Lukaku, there was that handball incident that may or may not have been given on a different day. But overall, it just wasn't good enough. It's not a systemic problem because, again, 1-0 to Manchester City, it's not Sheriff, it's not young boys, no joking, Rob. And also 1-0 against Juventus, again, in Italy, against a great team like Juventus. It's nothing that I'd be embarrassed about. So for me, it's just relax. It's gonna turn around. But if we don't bounce back against Southampton, I think then we're going to have a different type of conversation.
Yeah, before we get Robbie's views, because obviously Robbie is a Juventus fan as well, just a couple of comments from the chat. Performance isn't good at the moment. I feel there's quite a bit of experimentation. Mount being out's been a big issue. Now, the thing is, though, with Mason Mount, because I want to pull your fan base up on that. When Mason Mount has played this season, the criticism for him after the games has been, Mason Mount's having a bang average season. He's not creating. He's letting the team down. Then he doesn't play, and you miss Mason Mount all of a sudden. Now, obviously, I know we both have plenty of time, and Robbie does too, for Mason Mount, RJ. But what do you make of that? How big a miss is he? Just quickly before we go.
Yeah, very quickly. It's 2 games, he hasn't played both of them. We've lost twice. I know it's not as binary as that, but those that are criticising his bang average performances are the ones that recognise that he's been up here this whole time, was our player of the season. Sure, he hasn't hit the same heights as what he did last season, but his contributions have still been positive without setting the world apart. But it's the intangibles he brings with his, like I said, that dynamism and that level of increased presence in a midfield, because he's someone that presses high from the front, establishes that rhythm, but also offers that extra presence in the middle when we're getting overrun. So for me, he is a huge player, but it's collectively no Kante, who's the best in his position when he's available, Christian Pulisic, who is someone that can change a game based on his driving skills, and Reece James, who, again, is one of our brighter prospects. So I think it's looking at him collectively, not just Mason on his own.
All right, Robbie, sorry, mate, you've been sitting there a while. Your thoughts as a Juventus fan? You would have been happy to get one over RJ.
It's always nice. And look, man, I think RJ respectively summed that up quite good, man. Look, I'm sure everyone would have seen Singlet Rob last night in my little predictions and call for today. But look, I'm being honest. A couple of years ago, I thought this would have been a great game with the squads, and I honestly expected Chelsea to go to Turin and actually take all 3 points today, if I'm being honest, considering our slow start and, not great form for us. This has probably been our worst squad in the last decade, and, obviously losing Ronaldo is a big loss for goals. And we haven't got the greatest midfield, and, we are starting to age a little bit at the back. Look, I love the boys, but, I was expecting with, the champions of Europe to come. Look, I wasn't too. I thought the Chiellini and stuff. I really did think that they were going to try and concentrate on Lukaku today. I know he did spin one of them towards the end. He did have a decent chance, and I think he should have. Yeah, he should have. I think he really should have sunk down. He should have buried that goal. But look, lucky for us, he didn't. But as the game started, look, Chelsea came out. They started okay in the first 5-10 minutes, but after that, I think we were set up, and I think we had a couple of really good counter attacks. There was one when I think Chiesa should have actually played in Benedeschi, and they could have. It was a really clear-cut opportunity. I thought we missed.
I felt bad for him though, because like that opportunity, like Craig Foster and Boz are like, why didn't they just square it to him? I'm like, yeah, I get that, but you got to remember he's just trying to run onto the ball, drive to the box. You know what I mean? He didn't know that Benedeschi was free. He probably thought Thiago Silva was marshalling right next to him. So in the heat of the moment, he probably just 100%. Was thinking like an attacker. I don't blame him for that, to be honest.
I agree. But from looking at the TV, it looked like it just needed a square pass and it could have been in on nearly an open goal. I agree. In the heat of the moment, it just happened like that. But look, I did think we did look dangerous on the counter-attack. Like I said, towards the end there when it was like pretty much we were parking the bus just to get the result, and Chelsea were pushing. But, at the end of the day, Szczesny didn't have to make any clutch saves. You guys had a few headed chances right in the last 5-10 minutes that went over the bar. I think it was Havertz maybe off a corner.
Right at the end as well. Should have scored that.
Look, for Juve, that's a massive result, man. Like I said, I really wasn't expecting to get anything out of that game. I think, like I said last night, a draw they would have been happy with. But look, 6 points from 6 points. I do think both teams will be pretty comfortably in going through this group, considering the other two teams. But look, a nice win for Juve. I've got nothing bad to say against.
Put your house on Bayern Munich. That's all I'll say.
Mate, they haven't played anyone big yet. I said last night they're going to get a cricket score, and they did. But look, I'm sure there's a long way to go. Look, what happened to Barca today as well? I said that was going to be a low-key. I
want to end it on that. I think we end it there on Barca because Bayern did exactly what you expect Bayern to do. But let's quickly just touch on the decline of Barca. And there's plenty of calls for Singlet Rob in the chat. Don't read them, Robbie. Just leave it there. Declared saying to have the most views.
Singlet Robbie will return. It's like in the Marvel movies, mate. Singlet Robbie will return.
It had the most views because it was the only Champions League preview that we put out, mate. So it had no competition. And Gunaretti, fellow Aussie, braving the lockdown like us. Be careful what you wish for in the chat. Summer's coming up. So you might even get more than Singlet Robbie. You might get shirtless Robbie at one point if you subscribe to our OnlyFans. But let's quickly go on Barca. To me, the decline of Barcelona Football Club. Now, I'm enjoying watching it, right? I'm enjoying it. I know I'm horrible and nasty, but what they've done to Arsenal over the years, the way they poached a young Fabregas, the Champions League final, plenty of bad memories against Barca. This shows what happens when you financially mismanage a club. And I'm talking at the club level. It's not just one bad transfer window. And a manager that I don't know how he's still in the job. Is it that they can't afford to sack him? Or is there truly no one better? Because it's just gone bad for Koeman.
Well, they've got Atletico on the weekend. If they lose that game against Atletico with the international break looming, I really don't see him coming out. I really don't see him coming out the other end, honestly, mate. They've lost Griezmann, they lost Messi, and many others, like you said. Their transfer business has been terrible, mate. 3-0 away, and then they got pumped by Bayern in the first game. Can you imagine Barca in the Europa League or not even making it this year? That'll be something we haven't seen for decades, mate. Crazy.
Such a financially mismanaged club that, look, I'm not surprised about their downfall. I think it's just it's been a long time coming. They've just been awful. Their transfer policy has been bad. Their wage structure has been non-existent. They're just a calamitous institution from top to bottom, and they really need a big clean out because, like George brought up in the chat, from a neutral point of view, because I'm not a Barcelona fan, but some of the players that they've produced for our benefit to watch over the years, I'm sad from that perspective that Barcelona that we grew up with that had this tremendous amount of respect because of the superstar quality. Like they were a team, you could love them or hate them, but they had so much respect because of the quality that they had. Now, the new age, you're only going to see this laughing stock of a Barcelona. So in some respects, I'm actually quite happy that we got to enjoy that version of Barcelona, to be honest.
Yeah, to me, I'm not after the Champions League final. I hold grudges, boys. You know that. Legs are Rooney. As a Real fan, I've been waiting for these kind of results for quite a while. Years of El Clasico torment, Messi highlights, and poaching. So
not that they've been much better. Real Madrid got their own problems, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
100%.
The Sheriffs gave them a punishing, didn't they?
The Sheriff in town.
The Spanish league itself seems to be just in free fall.
On the down, that's it.
I mean, it's always kind of, for me, it's always been the Premier League, then the Spanish league. But the Spanish league has slipped for me. I would probably even watch the Serie A over the Spanish league.
It's
miles better. Serie A is miles ahead of them right now. No doubt about it.
And that's quickly why I just can't understand why, just say an Mbappe, why would you go to a Real Madrid now? You've just got a stacked PSG team. Why would you go to a Real Madrid or a La Liga that's in free fall at the moment?
I think it's probably, like we've said this on the show a few times, with Mbappe, I get the impression that he wants to be the man. Like going into Real Madrid when they're not. I wouldn't say Real Madrid are necessarily fully on the down, but they're not where Real Madrid has always been. He'd probably enjoy that challenge of being the man to go and be the star to reinvigorate them. But I don't necessarily think even he's capable of doing that. They seem miles off.
I think it's beyond them, to be honest. I reckon this would be a really bad strategic move if he was to go to Real Madrid, not because of any fault of his own, but it's going to a sinking ship of a league at the moment. Like they're in a real transition state. And to be honest, I'd stay well away from La Liga until they get some financial security and look like they're going to be on the up, because for now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some news breaking out that either of those clubs or some other ones hit administration and all of a sudden the league is in a real big trouble. So, yeah, for me, if I'm Mbappe, there's so many other top quality teams and he's at one of them, albeit in a lesser quality league. That would be probably the last place I'd be wanting to go now, just because of the situation of the league itself, not necessarily the club he wants to play for.
That's why these guys are screaming out for the Super League, mate. They need the money to come in, mate, because at the moment, that's not looking good. But what do you reckon, boys? I think we wrap it up. I think that's our world record time tonight, mate.
No,
I thought we're just going to keep going. Aren't we just going to keep going till next to the game on the weekend?
Oh, we might as well. 9:30 Saturday night's United game, mate. Happy to keep charging.
Might have to start a watch along, boys. We'll just start doing them all. But on that note, an hour and 20 minutes. We've had Mike on today, who was a phenomenal guest. Go over and support his stuff too. We appreciate and understand the grind the content creators put in to trying to bring quality out, and he certainly does that, Mike. So go and support that, especially his show with Dom Robbie, the man who paved the way for fan channels and things like this. But it's been fun, boys. I do think it's time for some sleep, hey? RJ, any final thoughts?
No, another cracking episode. It's good that we kept it nice and tight as always, but I look forward to the next show, guys. And thanks to the live chat. You've been phenomenal.
Yeah. Robbie?
Yeah, boys. You guys wrapped it up. Thanks again to the live chat. Really enjoyed the Evertonian on here tonight. And let's all hope we get a win over the weekend, boys, and go into the international break on a high.
All right. Until then, take care. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to hit the like button and sub on your way out. Take care, everyone.
Ciao.